I'm not ranking my guys only because it's it
I ranked
like
them
like you say. Well,
because that's how
yeah,
you gave it to me, so I ranked them
yeah,
boys.
yeah. But like you said, James Pierce could be there in the second round now. You know what I'm saying? Or be just because. Or listen, somebody every year we say I'm not. I'm gonna put it this way: the guys. Some people might say, well, you don't have this guy on your big board. Obviously, I know Abdul Carter is the best defensive player in this draft. You know what I'm saying? It's no, he is gonna be number one or number two in this draft. There's no way, you know what I'm saying, he's gonna be available. Obviously, unless you trade it up to get him. I'm not as high. I'm just gonna say this before we get started on the list. I'm not as high on the quarterbacks this year, man. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? As much as I like Cam. I think Cam Ward's the best out of the bunch. I think Shador Sanders is. I think he is an NFL quarterback as well. I don't know, man. Just giving him the keys to the car right off the bat is. It just depends on where he goes. I'm not saying that he's not gonna be good, but man, is he ready right now? I mean, is come September, is he ready to, be the guy, right now, right off the bat? That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I think Shador Sanders, God's on a troop wall. I think he needs to sit and watch for a year, like Jordan Love. I think, you know what I'm saying, he's got some talent, he's got some arm talent. If man, I'm just glad I wouldn't want to have to take quarterback this year. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's a down year, man. As high as I was on Quinn Ewers at the beginning of his career, not much to be desired there, man. You know what I'm saying? I think Quinn Ewers has got he got a uphill climb. You know what I'm saying? As far as
I
being a
actually like
starter.
Quinn.
Yeah, I like him too at
Well,
first,
I
but
think the
man,
talent, the arm talent, yeah.
I like Dylan Gabriel more than him. I ain't gonna lie. And Dylan Gabriel's small, like Kyler Murray
You see,
small.
PFF had him listed at 6 foot. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, bro. Dylan
Nah, he
Gabriel,
ain't
6 foot now.
he ain't that tall. Nah.
He had a
And
live
that's
arm though. But
yeah.
from what I saw at the combine over the weekend, it's a little lack of touch for
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel. He got a lot of power in that arm. He can really drive the football downfield, but when it comes to like those layer throws, being able to drop the ball in the bucket over a receiver's shoulder down the
Yeah.
sidelines,
Not
that's
so
kind of
much.
where he struggles at.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think overall, probably from what I saw, because Cam didn't do anything, Shador didn't do anything. From what I
Yeah.
saw, I actually think Quinn Ewers and Jackson Dart probably threw the ball better than anybody else, which is kind of expected. I mean, y'all pretty much are the most live arms, the most talented arms there. And
Mm-hmm.
considering the fact that the other top two guys didn't throw at all, you had a guy in Will Howard who looked completely awful. This
Yeah.
is a dude who went from being terrible at Kansas State, and I'm gonna say this because I'm not trying to bash Will Howard, because you can go back and you can Google Will Howard's stats at Kansas State. You can
Yeah.
also look at his history at Kansas State. You can look at the fact that Will Howard lost his starting job to three different quarterbacks at Kansas State.
Yeah.
One of those quarterbacks didn't even make the Detroit Lions 2 years ago. If y'all remember my man, the mobile quarterback that we drafted, he signed from Kansas State. Oh,
Uh
I know you remember he was in
Adrian Martinez.
AJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he went to Kansas State as well as Nebraska.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even beat that dude out.
Yeah. I,
But
I like I
it's a
like
testament
Cam.
to Ohio State, though.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward I think he's more ready to start. That's just my opinion. I
Yeah.
think Cam Ward ready. If you want to put him out there like the coach did Anthony Richardson, I can see the comparison. Put him out there. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. If I had to rank the quarterbacks, then I have none on my big board. This is probably the first year I haven't really had a quarterback, even regardless for the Lions at all. I don't think Jalen Milroe. I told you, I'm just speaking from a Lions perspective. Definitely, and I heard they talked to him, and I like that because he's intriguing to me, man. I don't know what it is about. I love the strong, athletic, like RoboCop type quarterbacks. That's me, man, all the way. And I think that 6'2", 217, Jalen Milroe fits the profile. He's hard to bring down. obviously we know he's got a long way to go as far as like giving him the keys to a franchise, that type of thing, right? But I do think Jalen Miro is a guy the Lions can bring this guy in, man. You know what I'm saying? Jared Goff's the quarterback the next couple years. We know that. I'm starting for the first time to hear rumblings about Hendon Hooker. May not even be on the roster come fall. So Jalen Miro is a guy I would take a flyer on. Man, it's just slim pickings at core. You got Riley Leonard out there. You mentioned Will Howard. Kyle McCord don't do nothing for me. Donovan Smith from Houston. Yeah, he's intriguing.
He's another huge project. I think we need, unless you just and you can't plan on hitting a home run on any quarterback, but
mhm,
you kind of have to almost have a foolproof plan in place before you draft one of these guys like that. I don't think the Colts really had a plan in place for Anthony Richardson,
yeah,
other than seeing how big he was, how strong he was, how far he could throw the football, how fast he could run, how high he could jump, how long he could broad jump,
yeah,
and then saying, okay, we're going to throw that out there on the field and we're going to make something happen.
yeah. And
Now that doesn't mean, I'm just saying that doesn't mean
mhm,
that Anthony Richardson won't be a lot better in year 3, but it's kind of
yeah,
it's rough. You don't see young quarterbacks go through what he went through. He went through a season to end the injury for
yeah,
his rookie season. He already wasn't playing too well before that injury.
yeah,
And then when he comes back, he suffers another injury. And then you're talking about a guy who only started like maybe 14 games, I believe, in Florida, being completely behind the 8 ball, asking him to run an NFL offense. And I think that's troubling for a lot of young quarterbacks today. They're being thrown into situations any idiot can see they have no business being thrown into.
that's
There's
right,
no way in hell a
right,
quarterback with 12 or 13 career college football starts
yeah,
should be running the NFL offense week 1
yeah.
after
Mitch
being drafted
Trubisky,
5
wasn't it?
minutes. Yeah, it's
Wasn't it?
a lot of them. A lot
Mm-hmm,
of them. It is crazy, man, that these owners, and I think it comes from the owners before the coaches, because the owners are the ones that put the pressure on the coaches.
mm-hmm,
Hey, I drafted this guy in the first round. I want to see him. I want to see him sling the ball around. What's going on? Why isn't he playing? Why isn't my guy getting the snaps in preseason? Why isn't he getting the snaps in training camp?
yeah,
A lot of these coaches be under pressure to play guys that they don't want to play and that's not ready to play early. And then when the quarterback falls flat on his face, what happens? The ownership fires the coach.
yeah, yeah. I mean, what's the other kid from Indiana? Rourke.
Yeah.
Yeah, he decent. You know what I'm saying? There's another guy I would take a flyer on to. Yeah, what's up, fellas? What's up, Jo?
Oh, you mean like
Uh,
if some of
yeah,
these bargain bin names was still hanging around
yeah. I mean, of
towards
course,
the end
yeah.
of the draft? Yeah.
Jalen Milroe's the only guy, real document. Maybe I fourth round if he there, and we get what we need. Before that,
Oh no, I
yeah,
get that. Yeah, definitely. I
I
would rather
take a
fourth
flyer on Jalen
round.
Milroe.
Yeah,
Yes,
fourth
yeah,
round, fifth round. If we hit some home runs in the first round, second round, third round, perhaps. If a
then
guy like that is still around and we talking about, look, we may need a quarterback. I would
mhm,
rather gamble on Milroe and his traits before I gamble on Rourke or I gamble on Max Brosner from Minnesota or one of those
yeah,
guys like
yeah.
that.
Kyle McCord, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
if
right.
I
That's
if I
right.
hit if I hit on Jalen Milroe, it's a grand slam. If I
Mhm,
hit on one of these other guys, it's a single.
yeah, right, right.
Maybe a double. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think this is the only thing I think right now, we've drafted Brad Holmes. Not we, Brad Holmes is drafted well. I mean, there's no mistake about it. I mean, obviously, you brought it up to point too. I think last year might have been the only draft since he's been here so far that not so much, man. If you look at it, you know, Terry Arnold started and played most of the season, at corner, but I don't think people were really saying right now it was a home run pick. You know what I'm saying? And it happens, man. You're not going to be 7 for 7 or 6 for 6 every year, man. It's so that's how it just shows you how good, good a shape we are in as an organization. For me, I'm hard. I want to I want to be better. You know what I'm saying? Than we are because it's right there, man. We right on the cusp. And this is where it starts. This is where it began. I think this is where the rebuild started. Right here, right now. This free agent pool coming up here, and then the draft, man. I think this is where the draft is where you can transform your franchise into something meaningful, man. And I think the Lions have done that. You know what I mean? I think that's not even a question anymore of you know are the Lions here to stay? I think they are. I think that the $1 million question in a room is, are they Super Bowl material? You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think some people disagree, and some people say, well, you should stay the course and keep drafting young, and we should. That's the number one thing. And I look at, I just want a young defense right now, young offensive line to kind of keep it going. And right now, we do need some more depth, man. Some good depth on that D line, I think, because I think our team gonna look totally different, man. With a new coordinators, these guys are gonna have to, I think the defense gonna have to carry this team, man. That's why on my list I got a lot more defensive guys than offense, because I think it's important to sprinkle in. We gotta hit some home runs, like you said, man. In the first 3 rounds, I think you at least, my thing is, it'd be nice to have 3 starters in the first 3 picks, but I mean, if you can get 2 out of 3, give me 2 out of 3. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, I'm not even gonna be picky. Just regardless of the position, I just think that whoever you pick, man, it's got to be an impact player. Just instead of being role. I mean, not so. I won't say role players. Role players are vital in the NFL. What I'm saying is maybe a project. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want a project, Walt. You know what I mean? We've been that. We've been doing that the last 2 years, and it's like that's kind of like why we was in the situation we was in last year, because it's like projects ain't gonna help you against Washington in the second quarter when you down 10. You know what I'm saying? We need somebody who can ball, man. And I think that's what the Lions are looking for. Players that can ball. So let's get to the list. You know what I mean? Yeah, there we go. Now for me, I don't want everybody to I don't want everybody to jump on me. I didn't grade these guys like who I think. Well, maybe you could say that. You could say I don't want to say I ranked them, because it's like it's kind of hard to do that. You know what I mean? For me, I mean, Walt the expert, so Walt probably can do it with his eyes closed. You can do it with your eyes closed, but yeah, just I mean, go ahead. While you want to hit, how you want to do this? You want to go from 15 to 1, or you want to go from 1 to 15,
Well,
and we don't have to stay like on one player the whole show. You know what I'm saying? We could
no,
just kind
no,
of go over it.
no, I
We
get it.
we, we, we want to talk about James Pierce. I think he's one of the guys we're going to highlight. So maybe we can kind of maybe save him for the end. You know what I'm saying? We don't really have to go into Pierce right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can start with Travion Henderson. I know Travion Henderson is a very, very familiar name to fans
Mm-hmm.
around here.
Yeah,
Played forever at Ohio State. Very combat built, muscular, strong running back. People
yeah,
may look at him and say, "Why would you have a running back on your list?" Because honestly, I would draft a running back every couple years, if not every year. I don't think you can have too much talent at the running back position. And AV, I think you got it pretty good right here with a guy in Travion Henderson, who, depending on how I think the running backs start coming off the board,
yeah,
he should be available late third, maybe early fourth.
yeah, yeah. And people would say, well, why would you draft another running back? Trust me, you want this guy on your team, man. Travion, 5'10", 200 pounds, built like a bowling ball, man. Um, can take it to the house. I think that people just don't realize that he does have the big play ability. We've seen it at Ohio State, man. I really do like Travion. I do. You know what I'm saying? I think he brings a lot. I think him and Donovan Edwards are really going to be a steal in this draft, man, from Michigan. Because I don't think uh, the way Travion plays, the way Donovan Edwards, they're good and they pass catching backs out of the backfield. and just the thought of having a guy like that, in our offense at some point, what I'm saying. And Jo did mention Sione Vaki, he barely even played. What I'm saying. I like Vaki. I liked him at Utah, but it was just like even when Montgomery was hurt, it was like he barely played, man. You know what I mean? Even though Gibbs is a feature back and rightfully so, he should have been. But yeah, I think Travion Henderson, whether the Lions take him or not, I would. But that he gonna be a steal, man. Whoever takes Travion Henderson, they got themselves a every down back. I think he's an every down back in the NFL these days. The way it's being played offensively right now with the pace and space type thing. If he went to Washington and played with Brian Robinson, he would be deadly with that team. He would be a force if he play. I'm just trying to pick some teams for him, but I would like to see him with the Lions, man. That would be a good pick, I think. At like you said, at a point in the draft where Travion here, we Genty's off the board, and you got Caleb Johnson's off the board. Oh, Travion's right there. You know what I'm saying? It'd be a nice little pick. To pick him. Fourth round. Late third, fourth round.
Yeah, I think Travion Henderson is probably the most slept on running back in this class. We was
Mhm.
talking about Travion Henderson in last year's class
Yep.
when
Yep.
he decided to, go back to school, but he showed up at the combine and just go over some of his numbers. I think he shocked people. If you look at
Mhm.
his numbers on the field, he had a production score of 83, which had
Yeah.
ranked him fifth out of all combine running backs. He had an athleticism score of 92, which
Yeah.
ranked him number one in all running backs. And he had a total score at the combine of 86, which ranked him as the third overall running back of the class.
Yeah.
4.43 in the 40, talking about a 10-yard split of 1.52, a vertical jump of 38 and a half inches, and he had a broad jump of 10.8.
Yeah.
And then you see all of this on the field too. If the long runs, the power, the ability to move the pile, he can do it in the short yardage. He can also take it 40, 50, 60 yards. I don't know why Travion Henderson's been so slept on. As far as I don't know if the NFL in general has slept on him, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like when we've been discussing the running backs over the last 2 years, it's been, and I understand the Jahmyr Gibbs of the world, the Bijan Robinsons. You look at this year, you got Amarion Hampton from
Oh
North
yeah, from North
Carolina,
Carolina. Yeah.
right? Ashton Genty, and you got the kid out of Oklahoma State as well, Simon.
Yeah.
What's his name? First name. Ali. Anyway,
Side. Yeah,
yeah,
the kid from I like the kid from Texas too, Blue.
yeah. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think running back is similar to wide receiver.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may see a smallish running back that's super fast, very explosive, and you may take a gamble on that type of running back over the running back who may be more of a brute, more physical,
Yeah.
maybe more of a three down runner because you want more explosiveness in your offense. Same thing with wide receiver. I think it
Yeah.
comes down to what's your flavor. Which running back do you prefer? What kind of style of running back do you like the most? And there's some really good ones in this class, man. I think, and I was talking to someone the other day. It wouldn't surprise me if this class ultimately ended up with like 6 or 7 thousand yard rushers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not next season, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
But
think
yeah.
overall, like we could look back on this running back class in a few years and say, damn, like this guy was in that class, that guy was in that class, this guy was in that class too. Because think about it, man. I think if you look at the upper echelon quarterbacks in the league, they all kind of like need running backs,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the
except
running back
for
position is back.
yeah,
Running back position is back, bro.
yeah,
Everybody getting them back
yeah,
again
yeah.
now. So
Except for like maybe Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, but you could even make the argument for them that like Derrick Henry isn't a spring chicken. They
mm-hmm.
could take a running back at some point in time in this
Yeah.
draft.
So that'd be a good
You
spot
look at
for him.
Buffalo; they could always. I
Yep.
mean, I like Cook, but they could always use another change of pace type of back.
What about New
Kansas City,
Orleans? Yeah, I was thinking about New Orleans too. I think Kamara, maybe wore
yeah,
out his welcome. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's some spots for these guys, man. I think
Denver,
yep,
Cincinnati,
Denver would be perfect. Yes, Cincinnati. Yes, you know what I mean. So
Minnesota.
yeah,
So it's a lot of teams.
yeah, hell yeah, yep. I agree. Um, number 14. I mean, this guy is like, now I ain't gonna lie, wasn't on my radar at all. And I think the Kiss Combine 40 time made me force me to put him in this spot. The reason why I say this because he got good size, man. 5'11". He looked a tall 5'11" to me. He could be flirting with 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? Maxwell Harrison, a local kid too. I think he went to school somewhere around here, somewhere if I'm not mistaken. But the 40 time 4.28, man, just knocked me off my feet when I seen that, man. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that because I would like a guy with some speed. You know what I'm saying? Because remember the Terran Arnold thing last year, and you pointed out like he not he can't run. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of the problem. And I think that we need somebody that can run. I mean, maybe Rakestraw was is that other guy that we're looking for. You know what I'm saying? And I probably wouldn't even be saying what I'm saying tonight, but I Maxwell here. I definitely would take a flyer on him, man. Now I just think we need speed to run stride. Look at the running the receivers in our division. Again, like I said, it's just you got to compete with the Jordan Addisons and Jeffersons and the Christian Watsons and all these guys that can run. We need a fast guy, and he's a pretty good cover down the field. I mean, I watched some tape on him where maybe his hand placements, maybe he may have the pass interference bug. I mean, I could see that right off the bat with him, but at least he could be another guy that can cover, man. I mean, he seems like to me he's coachable. You know what I'm saying? He's not perfect. Obviously he's not perfect. I think Draft Buzz has them at the number 9 rated corner post, number 9 rated corner post the combine. Which he's down on the list. You'll be able to get him in the mid rounds. You know what I'm saying? But I think that 40 time kind of got people kind of shaking their head a little bit, like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? It's something there. I always go speed on defense. I like speed on defense. I'm a sucker for it. You know what I mean? Even if he may not be the best trait guy, but if he's fast, I just feel like the Lions are good enough. Our coaching staff is good enough where we can coach guys up. You know what I'm saying, and get the fundamentals down. So that's why I got him. Walt. At the end of the list, yep, and Mike Barker's right. He could tackle. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's a guy. He's feisty. He'll fight. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to act like I watched Kentucky football with him. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? But what I've seen, I had to go and look when I seen him in the draft, when I seen his 40 time. Kind of looked at the tape. I did see he's not polished at all, but he will hang in there and fight. So
Definitely. And he's
mhm.
also from West Bloomfield.
Yeah. I knew
Yeah.
he's local kid from here. Glad to
Yeah.
see it. It would be a good, and to walk. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if he don't look 5'11". He looked taller than that. I mean, it
He
looked
got
like
long arms. He
yeah.
got long arms. He got long arms and a thin body,
Yeah.
thin upper torso.
Yeah.
I'll say this about him. You see the traits. I watched a decent amount of Kentucky football. Didn't watch a ton of it this year, but over the past couple years, watching Maxwell Harrison, he
Yeah.
was always around the football. He's a guy that's going to willingly throw his body around and run support. Whole thing is he's kind of light. He's
Mm-hmm.
not a great tackler, but he's a willing tackler. I'd rather have a guy who's a willing tackler over a guy who isn't really a willing tackler at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that will come in and try to do things from time to time. I can teach him how to become a better form tackler. So the effort is there. But you're right, he's not very polished.
Mm-hmm.
At least not from what we've seen actually on film from him in Kentucky. Now, when people see guys at the combine, they say, well, what do you mean he's not polished? Did you see how you ran that 10-yard split? Did you see the cone drill? Did you see the 40? Those are all drills that guys practice for. If we're talking about actual in-game film, seeing you get into your sets, your back pedal, knowing when to open the door, when to not open the door, knowing when to use your hands, when not to, short area quickness. He tends to get a little overzealous and panic a little bit, and which is strange because for a guy that's as athletic as him, straight line speed wise, as well as short area quickness. You expect him to be a little bit more tame. I was gonna say confident because at the end of the day, I don't think it's a confidence issue with him. I think he's a very confident corner. He just plays a little high strung from time to time, and he'll give up a lot of catches. That's the whole thing. Is when I saw him earlier in the season, the first thing that jumped out to me, the first player comparison wise that jumped out to me was Dante Jackson. And Dante Jackson coming out of LSU was a very similar guy, frame, height, build, track guy, very fast. But another guy that you would look at his traits and his skill set and say, okay, why aren't you more disciplined? Why aren't you more tame? And I'm more prone to give Maxwell Harrison the benefit of the doubt because I've seen some really good prospects come out of that Kentucky program
Yeah.
over the past few years. Will Levis ain't one of them though. But I've
Yeah.
seen I've seen some pretty good prospects come out of that school recently, but none of them seem to be polished. From him to Jamin Davis to Dayon Walker, who's in this class as well. We're
Yep.
gonna talk about Dayon Walker in another show though, but it seems like they get the talent over there at Kentucky, but they just don't develop it. Even
Mhm.
your boy that the Giants drafted a couple years ago, the wide receiver, Wandale Robinson.
Yeah, that
It
was
seemed
my
like,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if it's necessarily overrating the player
Mhm.
because I love my Detroit players, and Kentucky recruits a lot of players from Detroit. So I
Yeah.
don't know if it's the players or if it's just the staff there not developing the talent properly. Then it may just be that maybe Kentucky's just a small fish in a big pond because they got to
Yeah.
deal with a lot of headaches playing in the SEC. Alabama one week, LSU the next week, then you got Auburn, then you got Georgia. So maybe Kentucky's just talent wise overmatched. I don't know, but I think for us it would make sense if he fell past
Yeah.
like the first round. I
Yeah.
don't think he will. Because after the top couple corners, Will Johnson, Travis Hunter, now it becomes pick your flavor. Do you
Mhm.
want the tall, fast guy? Do you want a shorter, more athletic guy? Do you want a zone guy? Do you want a man guy? Do you
Mhm.
want a man press? Do you want an off zone? I think it comes down to what type of corner you really want.
What you looking for? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I totally agree with you. As far as like what you're looking for, and I think that he has what we kind of looking for. He fights. You know what I'm saying? He's sort of like I'm not giving an inch. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like that about him. You know what I mean? I'm not giving an inch. So yeah, definitely taking a flyer on Maxwell Harrison. Real quick, just we did a show about Josh Connerly, I think a couple weeks ago. Really don't have to get into him really again. He did have a good combine. I wanted to see him individually work out. I like Josh Connerly a lot. You know what I'm saying? Only reason why I don't have him a little bit higher because I like Seven in Nia a little bit better. I like Gray Zabel better. You know what I'm saying? And I like Wyatt Millum better. You know what I mean? Then those three guys I like more than, and I like Tyler Booker, who's not on our list, but that was one of your guys. But Josh Conley, I like him. Good workout, athletic as heck. I seen what I need to see. Josh Conley, I wouldn't be upset at all if they took him first round. You know what I mean, from Oregon. I think he's that. You know, he's got talent. So um, another guy, Walt, is Smeal Mondin Jr. I think that this guy, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I don't think he's another guy. He may be a second round pick. You know what I mean? I don't think he's a first rounder. I think he's a junior too. I think he's school wise. I think class wise. I think he's a junior. He's a little light. He a little light, but man, he want to tackle. He a thumper. He want to get in there. I think Georgia hit him a lot behind the massive defensive line they had. You know what I'm saying? So he was able to kind of play the James Houston role and kind of just run through space and run free and just tackle. And the only thing about him is I wonder if you put a body on him, you get somebody to hold him, can he get loose and make a tackle? You know what I'm saying? Shmuel. And then I'll let you hit on him too in a minute. And then Demetrius Knight, The reason why I'm bringing him up now is because I think he's better. I would definitely take Knight over Mondon Jr. Mondon Jr. is an interesting prospect, but it's like I don't know if he might not be ready to be a starter. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. I think he's more of a role player. I think Demetrius Knight is ready to play ball right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's another guy, Walt. I wouldn't be upset if they took him at 28 or low key. I mean, because I think he gets there. I mean, he'll get in the backfield if he got laser focus. You know, he'll make the tackle. He'll come up and thump. Nick Martin's the same way from Oklahoma State. We'll get to him, but I like Knight a little bit better than Mondon, but Mondon's an interesting prospect. Super athletic, young. I think them young legs is something the Lions need, especially with the linebacking core. You know, I think Jack Campbell being a quarterback for that unit could really help Mondon out. You know what I mean? I think Mondon will be good with other guys that's already there. You know what I'm saying? And establish and kind of show him where to go, you know, where he can kind of do his thing and just play free, man. I think that just so he kind of remind me a smaller version, correct me if I'm wrong, of Nolan Smith, of a guy I liked him too coming out. Remember Georgia went to Philly. I think Nolan
Yeah.
Smith, when he was number 10 overall, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And Nolan Smith kind of finding his way now after a couple years in the league, kind of a tweener, you know, not being decisive, you know, really what he is. And Philly found, you know, how to use him. And I think Mondon's going to be the same way. You know what I'm saying? Just same type of player in space. I like the ferociousness. He got it all. He just super light. I think Mondon is 6'2". No, not really. 6'2", 224. I thought he was a little less than that, but yeah. But Demetrius Knight, same thing. But I think he more mean. I think he ready, polished, ready to go, sure tackler, ready to play right now. You know what I'm saying? Them two guys.
Yeah, me personally, man, I want no parts of mine. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say that there, man. We didn't watch so much Georgia football, man, over the years. It's hard trying to figure out who's good and who's not at Georgia because, especially defensively, they ask those front seven players to do so damn much. I want you to cover a little bit. I want you to play the run a little bit. I want you to pass rush. But I don't want you to focus on doing not one of these all consistently. And I think it got a guy like Mondon into a situation where his head was spinning. Because every time I watch George, it's like, okay, now he's there. But then now he's there. Okay, this possession, now he's dropping for the next three plays. It's like, y'all don't allow y'all players. Same thing we used to say about Trayvon Walker when Trayvon Walker was at Georgia. They don't allow their guys, Clemson as well. They do the same damn thing defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They hammer versatility into their defensive players and their coaches' heads so hard that they don't allow their players to actually find themselves and become good at any damn thing, at least well-rounded at anything, because by him constantly spinning in every single direction, his production was hurt. He played a ton of snaps at Georgia. Ton of
Yeah.
snaps. Played in at least 11 games, 10 games the last 3 years. But every time I saw him, he was giving up a catch. He was missing a tackle. He was making a business decision because he is like 6'2", 224 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, that's what he weighed in at the combine, but I think before the combine,
He
he
was
was weighing
lighter.
in at 235, I thought.
Oh
I
wow.
know
Really?
PFF had him listed at 235 prior to the combine. Combine, he came in at 224. But I don't know, man. 6'2", 224, you better be either a safety, a strong safety linebacker hybrid that can thump and is a
Mm-hmm.
tackling machine, or you better be able to get after the quarterback like your hair on fire. And I don't really see Mondon doing either one like that.
I think you gotta hide him. I think you gotta hide him and let him just. I don't know, like you said, if you somebody grab him, I don't know if he can break free like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you saw what I saw with him, like just playing, and he played in big games.
Oh yeah,
Georgia's played a ton of big games like that, and a guy like that, I don't be worried about like would the pressure be too big for him on Sunday because Georgia, Bama, those schools, Tennessee, hey, they play big games every week. So yeah, I agree. Now, what's your take on Knight, man? Do you like Demetrius Knight? I mean, do you think? I mean, I'm looking somebody I can start. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking for. I mean, is he a guy that you could say Demetrius Knight can start for the Lions day one?
It's hard to say in our case because now I'm thinking about scheme, the fact that we don't play with a lot of linebackers consistently, the fact that we got 2-star linebackers already in Jack Campbell and Anzalone. I'm pretty sure Jack's going to be here long past Anzalone, and we discussed
Mm-hmm.
potentially getting some sort of athletic running back replacement at some point in time, or quote that as running mate, for lack of a better phrase, for Jack Campbell. But I like Knight. I mean, I think he's a classic thumper in the box. That's pretty much what he is. I think he's a classic thumper in the box. You're looking at 6'2", 240 pounds. He ran the 4.58 at the combine, which is great for him. He had a 10-yard split of 1.58. I think the 31.5-inch vertical and the broad jump of 9.10 really helped him out a lot too. And he had a decent bench press of 220 22 times. So overall, I think the testing he had at the combine for his style of linebacker worked out a lot for him. He reminds me a lot of Nick Bolton. You
Mm-hmm.
remember Nick Bolton, Kansas City
Yeah,
took out of Missouri a couple years
Missouri.
ago.
Yeah,
He was a linebacker that I felt if he went to the right system, because I had Detroit taking him in the second round, mock Detroit taking him in the second round, but Nick Bolton was a guy that I felt if he went to the right, team, he went to a 4-3 defense, maybe a 3-4 defense that allowed him to play downhill, make a couple reads, don't ask him to have a lot of pass coverage responsibilities. Let him be exactly what his skill set is. Same thing they did with Leo Chenal from Wisconsin.
yeah,
Says we both liked both of those running backs, and both of those running backs went to the champion Kansas City Chiefs.
yeah.
So yeah, I like Knight. I like Knight. I like Knight a whole lot more than Smale.
Smell. Yeah,
Yeah.
facts, facts. I'm with you on that. We're gonna go Nick Martin. That's another guy what I want to hit on. I like this guy in the combine. I seen everything I need to see athletically with him. I did have to go back look at some Oklahoma State film. And Nick Martin can play ball, man. I think he got born to be a linebacker. I think see Draft Buzz had him. Don't they had him the number 22 rated linebacker. I think that's BS. I think that this guy right here, man, is ready to play like right now. You know what I'm saying? I think that much of him. 6 feet tall, 221. Little on the small side. Oklahoma State, they known for getting short linebackers, but I wouldn't be upset at it. You know what I'm saying? He's not. You don't have to worry. I don't think he's not a first round pick or anything like that. I don't think that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's way more guy. I would even take a guy like Jack Sawyer over him. I'm just picking a guy. You know what I'm saying, that I don't have on my list. It's another guy like that's not on my list is Baron Sorrell from Texas. That's another guy that I probably would pick over Nick Martin. You know what I'm saying, if I had a choice between the two. But I do like what Nick Martin brings, man. He comes and hits at the line of scrimmage. Sticky hands. He will get occasional interception. I don't have his interception total in front of me, but I have seen him take with some takeaways. Relentless, like I said, tackler, like a guy side to side. I'm not gonna say remind me of Devion Henley. I think Henley a little bit bigger than him from Washington State a couple years ago, but Nick Martin's a guy I like him at linebacker. I really do. If you can come out of it with a stud defensive end, defensive lineman, and then you parlay it with Nick Martin after that or something like that later on in the draft wall, I wouldn't be upset at that. You know what I'm saying? He definitely gonna excel. I think he's probably a scheme guy, like you, depending on what we're running. Uh, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that is key. I mean, if he fits to what Kelvin Shepherd wants to run. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know if we're going to be a 3-4 team or not. I know I asked you that before, but that's kind of, I think the draft is going to show us actually what we're going to be, right? I mean, you would think they would
Yeah.
draft players to fit the style that they want to play. So that's been kind of like a question mark right now. We kind of don't know what they're going to be yet. You know what I mean? So I just like Nick Martin. That's just a guy I got pegged at one of my guys on my
Yeah.
board, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a big. I don't know how high you ultimately overall are on on this linebacking class. I'm not really high on them, and a major reason is because there's not too many coverage guys in this class. It's a lot of old school linebackers. Like everything I just said about um Demetrius Knight
Yeah.
and making the comparisons to Nick Bolton, and we talked about Leo Chenal, not necessarily comparing him particularly to Leo Chenal or to Bolton, but being that type of old school linebacker.
Yeah.
If you don't provide a lot of pass defense help,
Yeah.
your overall value as a linebacker isn't high anymore. They can't even play you for that matter. It's gotten to a point in time now in the NFL where as a linebacker, you're damn near a pseudo corner or a pseudo safety. And if you, it doesn't matter how big you are, how athletic you are, how hard you hit. If you
Yeah.
can't cover a soul, they won't play you.
Yeah.
Unless you're blessed enough to end up in a scheme like Nick Bolton and Leo Chenal were. They ended up in a scheme that lets them do exactly what they do best, and then they have a guy like Chris Jones playing in front of them that
Yeah.
takes a ton of the heat off of them. So, like I said, a lot of these guys, man, they scheme based. I would be shocked if more than one linebacker even went in the first round. And more than likely that'll be Jahad Campbell. But we don't even necessarily know about Jahad because Jahad doesn't provide a ton of pass help. He's got the athleticism, and that's the thing. A lot of these linebackers today, they have the requisite athletic skill set, to be coverage linebackers, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference between having the athleticism to do something and physically being able to actually go out there and mentally do it. And it's kind of hard for a lot of these guys because there's so many thumpers in this class. And there's not enough weak side and strong side guys that can do a variety of different things for that matter. Now, if teams do decide to start going back to the 3-4, I think you'll start seeing more of those type of linebackers come back because now you can take those type of linebackers and just put them in the middle of the defense at middle linebacker and just tell them to eat up everything that's between the tackle box. So, yeah, I think it's interesting, man. Nick Martin's a guy that made himself some money. He performed pretty well at the combine. I think all the linebackers in this class, for the most part, at least the first 7 to 8, performed
Mm-hmm.
pretty well. But it's all for naught if you can't really cover, man. And it's hurtful for them because I think the linebacking position, it's evolved, but it's kind of like phasing a lot of classic guys out, like even Jack Campbell for that matter. You don't see those type of old school supersized linebackers like Jack anymore. And the only reason Jack made is because Jack is athletic enough. You don't find too many linebackers Jack size in this day and age that's actually athletic as Jack is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be interesting to see where ultimately all these linebackers start to fall once the draft does start up. So, man, next on your board, you got Terrence Ferguson, man.
Yeah. I want
Um,
to. I want to
I
really
I
talk
saw
this
him.
guy.
I
Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
saw, and I'm not making the comparison. I hope he's nothing like this man. But I got a quick Aaron Hernandez. Look what I looked at. Oh man, but
Damn. I don't
hopefully
like.
he's a killer on the field.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrence
Terrence
Ferguson.
athletic though. I like
Yeah.
Terrence. He's like a
Yeah.
hybrid wide receiver too.
Yeah, he a baller, man. Love him, man. This guy, I would take him, man. I would be. I'm just telling y'all, I'm so confident on this guy being the guy. I maybe wouldn't take him first round, but man, boy, second round, I'd really be tempted to do it because he not gonna get past the second round. Terrence Ferguson's a ball player, man. I think it's exactly what this team needs as another pass catching weapon. You know what I mean? Not that I'm dissing Sam Laporta at all. I'm not. You know what I mean? Sam Laporta is great. You know what I'm saying? But he's one guy. You know what I'm saying? And I think Terrence Ferguson gives you another option, gives Jared Goff another option, especially if we lose Tim Patrick in free agency. You want to be able, and just what you said, a hybrid kind of tight end de facto receiver. You know what I'm saying? That you can maybe put him, get a different look, put him in the slot. You know what I'm saying, or something like that, and then draw him close to the line of scrimmage. Tyler Warren's not going to be there. Gunnar Helm is another guy I do like from Texas, but I like Ferguson better. Just the guy to me, man. This is a perfect guy. Play with a mean streak, want to run over everybody, stiff arm everybody, throwing people, like a pinball machine, man. Catch the ball, he'll fall forward and get you 4 or 5 yards after the catch. Great in the red zone. It's just great in between the hash marks. This is probably one of my favorite players. Well, no lie. I mean, and I've seen him play against Ohio State. He was a beast. He tore Michigan up, in the game he played this season. This guy can play ball, man. I mean, I don't even think people realize. I think people know how good they had him actually number 7 rated tight end in draft on Draft Buzz. So they got players that they think other tight ends that's better than him, which I agree with that too. I think Tyler Warren, obviously, we know Tyler Warren's not going to be there. He is a better tight end, but the fact of the matter is, Terrence Ferguson at 6'5", 247 pounds. Sign me up. Sign me up right now. He hurdle people, stiff arm people. That's what we need, man. Sign me up.
I agree. Had to unstuck my mute button for a second, but yeah, I agree. I think Terrence Ferguson's a guy who could probably be there in the third round, depending
Yeah.
once again on how everything falls in front of us draft wise. But
Yeah.
talking about a guy that's the complete opposite, the complete athletic opposite of Sam Laporta. Sam's a little bit smoother. Sam's a pretty decent athlete. I think Terrence Ferguson he's more of that Elijah Higgins from Stanford.
Yeah.
Came out a
Yep.
couple years ago. He was another one of those pseudo hybrid wide receiver tight end guys coming out. I think a guy mentioned to you the other day. What's his name, son? Aronde Gaston's son as well. Aronde Gaston started
Just
out
play
as a
for
wide
Miami.
receiver. Yep,
Yeah.
Aronde Gaston the second. He
Yeah.
started out as a wide receiver at Syracuse a few years ago. They converted him to a tight end a couple years ago. He's got the ball skills. He's got the explosiveness. Those halfback type of guys. You talking about Isaiah Likely from the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
It's no shade to Sam Laporta to go draft another tight end. In this day and age,
Yeah.
you need more than one wide receiver, people.
Yeah.
You need more than one tight end. You need more than one running back.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Of
That
course.
that's
Yeah.
just how it is. And it just
Yeah.
to have somebody who's the opposite of what you have. Think about it. When New England had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez was the complete opposite athletically on the field from what
Mm-hmm.
Gronk was. Gronk was the big
Correct.
machine.
Correct. Yeah.
Gronk was the big meathead.
Mm-hmm.
That bowled over everybody. And Aaron Hernandez was the guy that was fast enough to be a wide receiver, but not really physical enough to be a full-time tight end. But he was a mismatch for everybody on the field. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? He was too big for corners. He was too fast for safeties. You need a guy like that. And I agree with you 100%. I think Terrence Ferguson is a guy, if you're talking about filling out your roster, if he's there third round, fourth round,
Mm-hmm.
why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Wyatt Millum, we talked about him. You know how I feel about him.
Oh, yeah.
I think Millum can start day one. You know what I'm saying? This is my guy right here. I think 0 sacks allowed, 3 seasons. We took him first round. While I wouldn't be upset because you look at the size 6'6", 317, exactly what this offensive line needs to go with what we got to play with Frank and Penny Sewell, Decker. I think he better on the outside to me. I don't know. I don't know if the Lions will draft him because I think he could start maybe at right tackle. You know what I'm saying, on the outside. I think more like Tyler Booker's more for the inside. Miles Frazier We
Yeah.
talked about other couple guys here, Savania, another guy on the inside. But I think Mullum is a pure tackle. Him and Gray Zabel is like the two guys I think that can come day one and start and maybe play right tackle to start their career. So I like Wyatt Millum a lot, man. I do. That's another guy. I think he is, like I said, first round pick. I wouldn't be upset about it because this is exactly what this team needs, man. A guy who's just dominated his position the last 3 years. You see, I'm glad you put this up. 31 straight starts. He is a left side. I mean, I think he's born to be a left tackle. He really is. I don't know, maybe not his first year in the league, but man, I like sign me up, man, with Wyatt Millum.
Um, yeah, like I said, we discussed Wyatt Millum a couple weeks ago, about three
Yeah.
weeks ago, matter of fact. He's a guy who's a natural not pass catcher. He's a natural pass protector.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the best in run, what I'm saying? Blah, 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 blah. I'm still getting my defensive tackle videos and my offensive tackle videos intertwined with each other. But
Yeah.
no, if you're talking about run blocking,
Yeah.
not as powerful, not as stout right there, lacks ideal functional strength at the point of attack. And I think when it comes to run blocking, that's where everything is at. You're
Yeah.
talking about having that ideal functional strength and being able to stop a guy right at the point of attack. He does kind of struggle with that. And he does, once again, you're talking about these taller tackles, 6'6", borderline 6'7". He does
Yeah.
appear to have leverage issues and knee bend. But, you're looking at the prototypical size for a left tackle and frame. He's got that athletic basketball type of body as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is just all me and you for the most part, giving everybody our views and opinions on these players. We have zero idea on what the
Yeah.
NFL thinks of them. We
Yeah.
may have first round or second round grades on guys that may not get drafted to the fifth or sixth round. Doesn't
Yeah.
make us right, doesn't make us wrong, because we've been right about a lot of players that the NFL has been wrong about. And we've been wrong about a decent amount of players that the NFL was right about. So
Yeah. Yeah.
ultimately, it all comes down to where these guys go. Me personally, Wyatt, if he was there at 28, I would have to consider, if we were going offensive line in general for that pick,
Mm-hmm.
I would really need to see exactly offensive line talent wise what else is on the board. Because
Yeah.
if we're
Of
talking about
course.
like a Miles Frazier or LSU, I would probably be more prone to lean his direction
Correct.
because
And I was
Miles
gonna
can
say
play
it. Yes.
tackle, he
Yes, he
can play
could.
guard. Yeah.
Yep. 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 And I'm sorry to cut you off, Walt.
No, you're
But
good.
you're same here because like you said, it'd have to be. I mean, I think Connerly is a guy, Walt, that you could I maybe take over him because, like you said, Connerly can play the guard spot. Really, if you look at it, we kind of need somebody. We don't kind of we do. We got to replace Glasgow, right? So just in case Zeitler don't come back, that's because we know Decker's here. So Decker's good. You know what I'm saying, on the left side. And then you skip over the left guard for a second. Then you put whatever obviously Ragnar at center, and then I don't know if you want to put Mahogany on the left side or keep Mahogany on the right side, and then obviously you got Penny Sewell on the right side. So really, like you said, that's a very good point by you. Because Wyatt Miller may not be the guy that you want to take because I think he's more better on the outside. Like you said, I think it's Miles Frazier. I would take and I think Gray Zabel is another guy on the outside. I think him and Millum are similar, but I think Zabel's way more polished and ready to start day. I think Zabel can start at left tackle right now. I think he's that good. But if Seven Inia was there, or Connolly, or Tyler Booker, I would take those three guys over Wyatt Millum. You know what I'm saying? Just because they can play guard, and Miles Frazier. So that's
Landon?
one. Yep. And then, Landon Jackson. I think Landon is probably my second favorite guy on my list, man, other than Terrence Ferguson. Terrence Ferguson is number one for the obvious reasons that we spoke of. Landon Jackson, if you don't know who Landon Jackson is, he started his career at LSU. He did this guy, he plays a maniac, man, total maniac. He wants to kill everything in his sight. I love Landon Jackson, man. I think that – he quietly could be a first round pick. I think that much of him. Tall, slender guy, 6'6", 265 pounds. Well put together guy. He can play the run good. Get inside. Good hand placement every time to me. He gets off the ball super quick. I don't know, he's good against the run. I'm not going to say obviously he's not a run stopper, but that's okay. But the long arms, I think, with him makes up the
Yeah,
difference. He can make up the
yeah.
difference with his arms. Good pad placement. I like Landon Jackson. Walt. I think he's an unsung guy. Somebody will get a good football player, man. This guy will be good for the Lions right here. You know what I'm saying? Just because he's number 5 rated in draft bus. On D lineman this year. Landon Jackson, one of my favorite players, coming out Arkansas. He played great against Bama this year. He had a great game. I watched that game. He's just a good football player. I just think that it's not enough premium that we put on just guys that you can draft them, suit them up, coach them, and play them. And I think he's the guy that you can do that and you don't have to worry about him. You know what I'm saying? And he's gonna make some plays for you. He's more etc. He's more than a role player. I think he's more excited. He's more of a leader type to me. I think he takes control and he's gonna be an asset to any defense that gets him, man, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I think Land is probably out of all the edge rushers in this class, Shamar Stewart included, a lot of these other guys. I think Land is probably for me the most intriguing because his measurables actually even up with what you see on the field. And when you go back, I want to just look at what Landon did because Landon really showed out at the combine. You're talking about 6'6",
mm-hmm,
264, same height and weight as Aiden Hutchinson was coming out of
mm-hmm,
Michigan.
yeah,
Different body type though. He's got like a
yeah,
really long basketball
yeah,
former tight end type of body or whatever. I
yeah,
think that kind of turns NFL people off. They get really caught up in body types and thick trunks and thighs and all this other stuff. But you're talking about 6'6", 264, arm length 33 inches and a quarter,
yeah,
10-inch hands. He ran a 4.68 40. He had a 10-yard split of 165. He also had a vertical leap of 40 and a half inches. And he had a broad jump of 10.9. So that's a very, very explosive athlete at 6'7".
mm-hmm,
Pretty
yeah,
much 6'7", 264 pounds.
yeah,
Also, his athleticism score was 86, which ranked him as the number 2 overall edge rusher at this past combine. And
man,
if you go back to his numbers at Arkansas over the last 3 years, 12 games in 24, 12 and 23, 12 and 13 in 2022.
yeah,
Numbers steadily improved every year.
every year,
Um,
right,
and he's very raw. If you look at how they used him, they stood him up a lot outside the tackle at 6 tech for the most part. Played a little bit inside at 4 tech. Outside of lining him up over the offensive tackle at 4 tech, they didn't do anything else with him, which made sense. They even gave him 10 snaps off the ball. They knew
yeah,
exactly what he was good at. And I hope that whether it's the Detroit Lions or whoever it may be, I hope they see what he is and they put him in a situation where he can really, really use his skill set and succeed. Because a lot of times, guys like him, as talented as they are,
yeah,
NFL coaches, NFL defensive coordinators, they're so arrogant that they really believe that, well, I'm going to take him, I'm going to take that talent, and I'm going to make him do what I want him to do within the realm of my scheme. And that's not right. I
yeah,
think I said when you watched him play at Arkansas, he was still a guy that was like, you can tell he loves football too.
yeah,
By the
man.
way, yeah.
Just the way he
So it's
plays,
like
just carry
he
yourself, yeah,
seems like a ball of clay that Dan Campbell would want
mm-hmm,
on his
yep,
team, at least the old regime for that matter. So I get what you're saying about Landon Campbell, not Landon Campbell,
Landon
about
Jackson,
Landon Jackson.
yep,
But you look at some of his numbers from 2024. He had an overall pass rush grade of 72%. He had a run defense grade of 88.7, which put him in the top 1% in the
yeah,
country. He also had a pass rush win rate of 11.2%, which put him in the top 2%. He had a true pass rush grade of 74.4, and he also had an overall run stop grade of 9.3%. He's not the most fundamentally sound defensive end either, but like I
Right.
said, you can tell like they put him in positions when he was at Arkansas to have maybe three options. You either contain, you cross the line of scrimmage, move, dog, go sit down. I'm not done yet. Don't tell me how long I've been.
He like, hurry up.
Go
He
sit
like
down.
he
Right,
like,
I'm
hurry
telling
up.
you, we look, we right at an hour right now. Usually
Hmm.
around 57. This don't I want people to think I'm saying my dog can tell time or anything like that.
Yeah.
See, now he done went all those
He
stairs
can,
in one of my socks. So now he mad at me. He done took a
yeah,
sock away
yeah.
and sat on the stair. But
Yeah.
no, like around 55 minutes, he always come down the stairs and start messing with me.
Yeah.
But no,
That's
like I said, Landon, man, they didn't give him a ton of responsibility at all at Arkansas. But man, like
mm.
the opportunities he got with the role they gave him,
Yeah, he
he was
made most
productive
of
as hell,
made
man.
the most of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Tackles, against the run, like I said, you could tell the physical. He's got physical, and sometimes physicality is going to win. Your physical attributes, you're going to win. Maybe you might not,
Yeah.
like you said, be the best, okay, smartest in the scheme
Best
realm,
technician.
but
Yeah.
man, he's got the athletic to make up for it, man. I like Landon Jackson. Um, Another guy, I think maybe third or fourth on my. I think our first six guys is like these seven guys, my favorite guys. Isaiah Bond, another guy. I know Matthew Golden ran the fastest time for a receiver. His teammate at Texas. I really like Isaiah Bond, man. I think he'd be great for the Lions at another receiver option. Can make all the catches. You know what I'm saying? Is fearless. Got good quickness, man. Sure handed. I didn't see him drop a pad. I mean, he just another guy, man, that you could have, in your offense, and give Jared Goff another option.
Hmm.
Just the thought of having Bond and Jamison Williams and Jameer Gibbs to just put fear like in opposing defenses, man. Or if you was lucky enough to get Bond and Terrence Ferguson, in the same draft, you know what I mean? But I don't think you may not be that lucky. You may get one of them, but you probably won't get both of them. But I just think that people think that we don't need a receiver. I think I beg to differ. I think we need one. I think you can get one guy out of this draft that you realistically not a what's the kid we drafted last year, Walt, that barely played from Carolina. I can't think it's Antoine.
Oh,
What was
the year before
Antoine
Antoine
Green?
Green. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he was one of my guys coming out of Carolina, but I don't know if that ship has sailed yet. With our team, hopefully not. Rooting
Yeah,
for
it
Antoine
sailed.
Green. Yeah, it's probably sailed. You know what I'm
It
saying?
sailed.
So we need a
Yeah.
real guy. I mean, not a project. We need a real guy who's going to play. You know what I'm saying? That can play, that can make plays. I mean, again, against Washington in the playoff game, all I know is this. I know we needed a guy to make a play. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And we needed that, and we didn't have it. I mean, let's be honest. If you sit back and you watch the Lions and you game plan for the Lions, you say, you know what? We're gonna put seven in the box, try our best to stop Gibbs, pretty much taking David Montgomery out the game, and then we just gonna shadow St. Brown. Maybe you can throw over the top, maybe to Jameson Williams in that scenario. Isaiah Bond can really unlock some things. You know what I'm saying? A guy his talent. So he always played big, and every big game they play, Isaiah Bond made a play. You know what I'm saying? Make a big catch. Sure-handed, get out of bounds, good instinct, great target. Isaiah Bond 5'11", ran a 4.3. My eyes jumped
Yeah.
off the page when I seen that. You know what I'm saying? Another guy, another fast guy. I'm not the Raiders fast, like we should take this guy number one if he's fast like that, but man, Isaiah Bond, would be really nice, for the Lions. So
Yeah. I like Bond. He reminds me a lot of Jalen Waddle from a few years ago.
Yeah,
A track guy, former track guy, former sprint guy in high school,
yeah,
but like with just like Jalen Waddle, difference is, like I said, when you find speed guys who are actually good football players at wide receiver,
hmm
you got to snatch them up. You got to snatch them up. And if you look
yeah,
at him, he's a guy that he can make a big impact and can be deadly at all three levels. You're talking about
yeah,
screens, end arounds. You can line them up and get in the backfield, get him the ball, and in that way, he can affect the offense intermediately. And for sure, he can get downfield and get vertical.
yeah,
Um, he's also a guy that destroys cushions. So he's a guy, by meaning, he's a guy that destroys zone coverage. So if you have a guy that's consistently 4-3, like legit 4-3, respect speed. This is a guy who you not only have to zone off of him, but you also have to consistently keep somebody over the top because there's always the threat of Isaiah Bond getting deep. And you mentioned Matthew Golden as well. I think Golden is probably a better all-around wide receiver right now. Not
hmm
too far ahead of Bond,
yeah.
but
He is. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I just think if you look at Bond overall, man, he's a track guy that's a pretty good football player, and he's steadily growing as a football player. He's got pretty good hands as well. And if you're talking about getting him the ball in space in the open field,
hmm
man, the dude's very elusive. And I think that's another comparison that comes into play when I do make the Jalen Waddle comparison. So I'm with you on Isaiah Bond. I'm not sure about taking a receiver in the first round though,
No, no,
but
no, no. I wouldn't
yeah,
take it in the first round. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Real quick here. I know we pressed for time a little bit. Sava Ania, we did a show on him. Love this guy, man. Definitely a first round pick in my opinion. I would put him at guard and be all set. You draft Sava Ania, your offensive line is set, bro. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about it this year, next couple years, because you could put him next to Taylor Decker, and it'd be great to have Decker, Samania, uh, Ragnow, Mahogany, and Sewell. Let's go. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's the guy right here, man. To me, and I think I'm gonna predict. I think this the guy they gonna get. You know what I'm saying? I think that this gonna be their draft pick just right now. This 1.0 version, AV 1.0 version. If I had to pick any of these guys right now, even though I like Landon Jackson so much, and I like Derek Harmon, all those guys, Terrence Ferguson. I I think Savania would be the pick for the Lions, man. He's a guy that can just continue our grit, offensive line domination, run game with Montgomery and Gibbs. You got to keep that part going, as you're off. And then I think we need some stability at that spot, man, because I think that uh, I think that our offensive line wasn't as good as it normally was, and I think the last couple games of the season, I think it showed that we had some chinks in the armor, man, kinks in the armor. So for me, I think this could be the guy, Walt. I don't know if you might not agree with me, but I just think I just got a feeling. I mean, obviously it's going to change. We about 6 weeks away, from the draft. We a while away from the draft still, but if I had to just place a bet, I would say Sam and Nia right now.
yeah. I think regardless of whether it's the Detroit Lions or it's any one of the other 31 teams in the league, Jonah will probably be starting at left or right guard. More than likely, he'd be starting at right guard for somebody next season. Whether or not you believe he's a right tackle or left tackle at the next level, that's neither here nor there. I think he's a starter from day one at guard.
Yeah,
At guard for damn sure, and somebody that on the right side of that offensive line you can anchor your run game behind for a very, very long time. We
right.
made the comparison when we did do the show on him to the guy that the Saints took last year from Oregon State, Talise
Field,
Fuaga. Yeah,
Field. Yep.
Talise Fuaga. Yep, I think he's those guy athleticism wise. I'm gonna have to compare their combines, but to me they're damn near the identical players. And there
Yeah.
was a little talk about perhaps Fuaga going in the top 15 or whatever to a bunch of random different teams last year. There was talks about potentially playing him at right tackle. Ultimately, he landed at guard, and I think that's exactly where Jonah's going to be, whether it's in Detroit or not.
Hmm.
I'm not so sure. You and I, we're thinking about the offensive line heavy, and we've been doing this in like last offseason.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure if offensive guard is like right up Brad Holmes' alley
yeah,
for the first round. Because if you look at his history of first round picks, you're talking about like sexy positions: left
yeah.
tackle Panay Sewell, edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson, wide receiver Jamison Williams, running back Jameer Gibbs.
Gibbs. Yep. And
Like these are
Jack
all like
Gibbs.
sexy picks. Like
Hmm.
these are all sexier positions. I'm not sure if he would take a center or a guard in the first round. It seems to me like that may be one of those spots where he doesn't value guard or center. Not to say he doesn't value guard or center when it comes to the overall health of his team, but I think he probably values left tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, positions like that maybe a little bit more. I don't think Jonah goes in the first round though, simply because he's not that as athletic of a guard. And then we're gonna just go ahead and transition because I think the guy that you have ahead of him on here is a big reason why. And
Oh
everybody's
yeah.
not Gray Zabel from North Dakota State.
Oh
But
yeah.
when you have these guards, and like we mentioned Miles Frazier earlier in the video, when you have these massive guards who can play either guard position, they can kick
Hmm.
inside and give you some center help in a pinch on a Sunday to Sunday basis. If need be, they can kick out and play some left tackle or right tackle. Those type of guards get valued a whole lot more. It wouldn't surprise me if Gray Zabel was the first offensive lineman off board, probably to Arizona. Um,
Yeah.
I love Gray Zabel.
Yep. I do too.
Love him.
You
Yeah.
you brought him to my attention, man. Gray Zabel got it all, bro. He definitely a first round pick. I mean, like you said, it's no doubt in my mind he's a first round pick. It's just a matter of who's gonna fall in love with him and take him. You know what I mean? At this point, I don't know what the you know who'd you say? Well, I'm sorry. You said Arizona
Yep.
could take
I
him.
think I had him when I did my last mock draft 2 weeks ago. I had him mocked to Arizona. I forgot what number Arizona's at right now, but yep.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just man, uh, to have a guy like Gray Zabel there, um, and if you need offensive line, if you need a anchor for your defense, I think he's the guy, man. He's got it all. Trait wise, I mean, you. This is one of your guys, and you broke it down to the T. You know what I'm saying? Of what he is, and what his tendencies are. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a good pass blocker. That's number one, and I think that's important too. Obviously, I don't know. I think Sava and Nia may fit better the Lions, but I think Gray Zabel is a better prospect all around. You know what I mean? It may be just that because sometimes it's just a matter of fit. And a matter of the trajectory of your team. And if we want to continue to be in the trenches, you gotta uh, bolster up the line. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget about the offensive line, man. And I think that's these two guys, whatever one you choose, if you're the Lions or any NFL team, you're getting a damn good football player. You know what I'm saying? Gray Zabel. So uh yeah, that's what I had on him. I know, like you said, you can break it down. I don't have his stats in front of me, right off the bat, but he didn't give up a sack. Well, I think his whole career was it like 3 years, no sacks too, just like Wyatt Millum, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, for the most part, it's a lot of those tackles out here. Now I can go ahead and Google it real quick if need be. But
Yeah, yeah, no sacks. I mean, it's just he's exceptional. Uh,
I think he's
and his
got that perfect prototypical height and weight to it. I mean, he's 6'6", he's 305. That's that athletic 305. You can
mhm,
probably get Gray Zabel to 315, depending
mhm.
on whether you wanted to keep him outside at tackle or kick him inside the guard or whatever. Even play him at center. He had the ability to do that, but Yeah, you talking about 16 games in 2024, 15 games in 2023, 13 games in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
He had 970 snaps in 2024, 911 snaps in 2023. He gave up 1 sack in 2024, 2 sacks in 2023, and one in 2022. So that's 4 sacks in 3 years. And he played exclusively left tackle in 2024. He played some left guard in 2023 and 2022. He played center in 2024.
Yeah.
He played center in 2022. And then also in 2023, he played right tackle
Mm-hmm.
and right guard. So this is a guy that's done everything.
Everything, right?
Also, dude, you talking about a guy that he's one of the only tackles in his class to have an elite grade in run blocking, zone grade, gap grade, and pass block grade,
Yeah. He
and
did.
true pass block grade. So this
Did it
dude has
all.
been like damn near the perfect offensive lineman for North Dakota State for
Mm-hmm.
the past 2-3 years, man. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's a guy that I don't know why they did this to me, man. Why does
Yeah, it seems like they've been
Restream
doing
keep
it every
doing this,
week.
man?
Yeah, every week they seem like they're doing that, messing with you, man.
You're doing too much. Hurry up.
Yeah,
We
but
gonna mess
yeah,
up your stream. Yeah.
like you said, 6'6", 312. You know what I mean? You can't, hey, you can't coach that. You know what I'm saying? I just want to get through our list real quick here. Nick Skirton is another guy. Seems like he's falling out of favor with the scouts right now. He's not as high on everybody's list as he initially started 6'3", 257. He's number 8 lineman on Draft Buzz right now, post combine. I think Nick Scorton is a heck of a player, man. Another guy I would plug and play. I mean, I think he's a first round pick, in my opinion. That's another guy. If we went defense and took him at 28, I wouldn't be upset. You know what I'm saying? I think he is a guy. He's got some value. With the Lions, what we're running, what we did. Like I said, the biggest question is, I don't want to sound stupid and say he'll fit in, and then we wound up doing a totally different defense that he don't adhere to. But I'm for what we was last year. Okay, I'm gonna just go off of what I saw last year. I think Nick will be good for the Lions. You know what I'm saying? The only thing about it is I'm not sure if he sheds blocks as as quickly as I want him to. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I think he's more suitable as a pass rusher to me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. Run support may not be his strong suit. You know what I'm saying? Getting off blocks and stuff like that, but that's okay. I mean, as long as we can get somebody that's naturally getting to the passer at a regular basis, I think and he wins half the time. I think that's that. Hey, that's damn sure enough more than what we've been getting. You know what I'm saying? Out of the other defensive end spot opposite Aiden Hutchinson. So yeah, how you feel about Squirtin, man?
Like him a whole lot better than Shamar Stewart. I think we talked about on the previous show with him and Shamar. Shamar's the guy that has the measurables, everything you're looking for, the 6'5", the 280 something, the fast 40, the broad jump. He showed up at the combine and did everything I said he was going to do. He was going to impress everybody at the combine with his physicals. But
Mm-hmm.
when you turn on the tape, this is why I constantly try to tie watching film to actually going to the combine or watching the combine and taking in everything you take in at the combine and putting everything within context. What you
Yeah.
saw at the combine is not what the hell you see on film from Shamar Stewart. And we're going to get into Shamar Stewart later on, but I
Mm-hmm.
brought him up because we're talking about one of his teammates right now,
Yeah.
and Nick Scorton. And they are completely polar opposites as players. They both got completely different sets of expectations and responsibilities at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Nick Scorton was a transfer from Purdue, very productive at Purdue. He got over to Texas A&M. He was very productive at Texas A&M this past year. You're talking about a guy who had 315 pass rush snaps. He had 4 sacks on the season, 4 quarterback hits. He had 28 hurries. He had 28 hurries this
Mm,
season in 12 games,
yeah,
and he had 28 last year, and he had
yeah,
8 sacks last year. So if you look at it for what is the production is there.
yeah.
That's
Dude
what
can
I'm
play.
more about is the production. Now he didn't do much at the combine at all. I think he did the interviews and whatnot, but you're talking about 6'4", 285. I know a lot of Lions fans are tired of the tweeners. He is a tweener. That's what he is. He's a good overall football player. They put more on his plate at Texas A&M because he was the more cerebral player. You can just see it
Hmm.
on film. The gap responsibilities they gave him as an edge rusher. He's 6'4", 285. Shamar Stewart is what 6'5", 280 something. And they trusted Nick Scorton a whole lot more in run defense overall than they did with him. I
Yeah.
like I said, I like him a lot. The only problem is this: do you believe he's going to give our defense ultimately what they need, which is a feared pass rusher?
Big
Because
question.
when I look at Nick Scorton right now, can he rush the passer? Of course, he got 28 curries. He
Hurry.
got a bunch of hurries, bro. He got what 66 hurries over the past couple years. So you talking about, is it the scheme? Did they not let him rush the passer enough? Did they give him a little bit more run game responsibility than needed?
Hmm.
But do you think that can he line up and be an every down guy that gets after the quarterback? Because we don't need another tweener rotational guy, a Josh Pascal, a
Right.
Levi, a
Right.
Makai Wingo for that matter. We don't need another one of those, not in the first round. He may be a good overall player, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need more good overall players, but to your credit, you said it numerous times over the past few shows. We need somebody with a specific skill set, somebody that can pin their hair back and go get after the quarterback.
Hmm.
And if that's not what he is, and if that's not what you intend on using him for, I don't want to call Nick Scorton a wasted pick because I don't think he's a wasted pick because I think he's going to be a very good NFL player. But I think around here, we're looking for somebody who can be a 10, 11, 12 sack guy, maybe
Hmm.
more. Not just necessarily another guy that fits into the rotation and can do a multitude of things, but not really specialize in what we really need him to do.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Um, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Everything you just said. Yeah, we get into the
Derek,
last, yep, last two guys here. Derek Harmon, transfer from Michigan State. This guy's a force, man. I think he's very underrated. Had a good season at University of Oregon. He also played with other guy that's on the Birch, I think is his name. Well,
Jamari Caldwell too.
yeah, Mark Caldwell. Very good defensive line at Oregon. They didn't end the season good. They got smashed by Ohio State, but I like Derek Harmon. He force on the inside, man. So if you took him, then because we kind of heavy at that position that he played. With Reader, Lee McNeil play side to side. We got Makai Wingo, as you mentioned. Um, so, I mean, if you essentially draft him, then I mean, they may be writing on the wall for Broderick Martin, that type of thing, because that's like the same position, right? I think Derek Harmon can play, man. I think he could be a force. I think that he could be a guy as long as he, stays with it, man. I like Derek Harmon. I think nobody talking about him that much. I think that I seen mock draft him going to KC. You know what I'm saying? I seen him late
That's
first round.
funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
funny because I was gonna make the Chris Jones comparison.
KC. I seen Buffalo. I seen they got Philly they got Philly pegging to get everybody, man. Philly they just gonna sit and wait and then just draft the next best defensive guy, whoever that other teams don't take. But yeah, Derek Harmon, I like him. 6'4", 313 pounds. He's got the size to just take control, man, and just cause havoc in there. You know what I mean? And on a regular basis, super strong too. I think he moves the pile a lot. Played in the Big Ten. I mean, you really can't. It's hard when a guy transfers and he's got to kind of reestablish himself all over again. I think that's what he did. In Oregon, I think they kind of really maybe didn't know what they had until the end when it was kind of almost over, that type of thing. You know what I mean? When he kind of made a name for himself. So I like Derek Harmon, man. They got him rated number 11, defensive lineman on Draft Buzz. So, but I think that somebody's going to get a football player. He may not be, he may be day two. You know what I mean? He could be for a second round pick. You know what I mean? I think the lowest I've seen him is, second round, like in the top 60, that type of thing. I haven't seen him I'd be shocked if he made it past the second round. You know what I'm saying? So somebody's going to get him. I can see a team like Dallas. He would really help the Cowboys. He could really step in and help, like Carolina, or what I'm saying. It's a bunch of places for him he can go. You know what I mean, and just be New Orleans. Some
Yeah.
teams out there, maybe Atlanta. Some teams that might just want to take a fly on Derek Harmon. I think he be good. I don't know if the Lions would take him though. Like I said, because we kind of log jam at that spot.
Right.
Just
But I
depending
think he's
on
different though.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah. No, I just think that you brought Derek Harmon up to me, I think last off season. Well,
yeah,
last summer, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
And I've slowly came around to him. And as deep as this defensive tackle class is, I'm gonna say this right now. I think he has as much potential as any other defensive tackle in his class. Like if you told me in 3 years Derek Harmon turned out to be the best defensive tackle in his class, I wouldn't laugh at it. Because what do I constantly say all the time about what a defensive tackle's job is and what I like defensive tackles to do? Fuck shit up. And
mm-hmm.
and he does that consistently. He's already going to be an elite run defender from day one. You're talking about the
Yeah,
guy who's 6'5", he's 313 pounds at the combine. He measured in a 6'4" and a half, 313. He cleaned up a lot of that bad weight that he had also, which is great to see from a
mm-hmm.
guy like him coming in. But this is a dude who, when you watched him play at Oregon, and you're right, being in Big Ten country, we got a chance to see a lot of Oregon this past season. Was a dude who was constantly blowing up the A gap, blowing up the B gap,
Yeah,
flushing the quarterback left, flushing the quarterback right. Now, he didn't have a lot of sacks at all, but this was a dude who he helped out a lot of other dudes get sacks. That's the whole thing. It's not always the defensive tackle's job to get all the sacks,
mm-hmm.
but how do you help other people get sacks? And I get it. He only had 5 sacks last season, but the boy had 43 hurries in 14 games.
Yeah,
So when you look at Derek Harmon, I think a big question comes up with him. It was kind of similar to when Chris Jones came out of Mississippi State. Everybody knew how physically talented Chris Jones was for his size, the lateral quickness, the short area quickness, the explosiveness off the line of scrimmage, the length, the power, the versatility when it comes to the pass rush moves, the ability to destroy a game plan, whether you're talking about running the ball or stopping the pass for that matter. But I
yeah,
think what it comes down to him is finishing plays. For a guy who had 5 sacks last season, let's say, because 43 hurries is ridiculous for a defensive tackle, bro.
mm-hmm.
And I tell people consistently, and I got to set up my defensive tackle rankings over the next couple weeks, but 43 hurries for a defensive tackle is ridiculous, man, in
Mm-hmm.
14 games. So
Yeah,
let's just say if he was able to finish a little bit better,
yeah,
if he gets to the next level and they help him on flattening out his pass rush instead of always running the loop or knowing when to run the loop and when to run the crossface and get back inside. He
yeah,
needs the perfect, I ain't gonna say the perfect, but he needs the right defensive tackle coach. Because if he gets the right defensive line coach that teaches him how to be more, how do I put it? At least thinking wise, be on his feet, being able to process what he needs to do at every specific point in time in order
yeah,
to get to the quarterback on that specific play, he'll be a whole lot better of a player. And he's a damn good player now. He was a really good player last year, but For him to get 43 hurries, let's say out of those 43 hurries, you go from 5 sacks to 12, 12 and a half,
Yeah,
13 sacks, because he has that type of talent
yeah. He does.
to
He
get
does.
to be that type of special defensive tackle. If you're a defensive tackle that can get 12, 13 sacks, 11 sacks consistently, you're elite.
Mhm.
And when you look at him and you compare him to Walter Nolan, you compare him to Ty Robinson from Nebraska, like a lot of other defensive tackle, even Darius Alexander from
Yeah,
Toledo.
Toledo. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's the one that checks most of the boxes across the board. Pass rush, elite pass rusher, elite run defender. Do you have the size?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm 6'5", 315.
yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have the finesse and the versatility and the quickness and the craftiness to play three tech? Yep, I can do that. Are you powerful enough and stout enough to line up as zero over the center and take on double teams? Yep, I can do that. Are you athletic enough for me to throw you out at 3-4 defensive end, or throw you out there at 4 tech in a 4-3 or a 4-2-5 and still get after the quarterback? I can do that too. I saw Oregon utilize him a lot this season in a
Hmm.
variety of different ways. And like I said, you brought him up to me last summer. I slowly came around to him. Once I saw the film towards the end of the season, then I saw what he was able to do at the combine last Wednesday. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? This Derek Harmon kid, I think he's in play at 28 because he's not just a space eater. I'm
Hmm.
not in favor of us taking a space eater at defensive tackle, and I'm not in favor of us taking just another versatile guy at defensive end that can do a multitude of different things. I need somebody that can be a game record
Hmm.
at either position, and I wouldn't hate taking Harmon at 28 because for me that ship is sailed with Broderick Martin, bro. That's that's
Yeah,
gone.
I agree
Um,
with you. I'm ready to move
Levi,
on.
before I pay Levi market value, I'll move on from him and I'll draft another defensive tackle in this class.
Hmm.
Yep.
Facts, facts, facts. And our last guy, I mean, not
Yeah.
the last but least, but James Pierce Jr., man. This is my guy. This is my next video. You asked me a guy who I want to do. James Pierce is a monster, man. I think that he's intimidating force out there, and I think that he may be the third best. I think Draft Buzz had him rated number 2 on their board. Draft Buzz. I think behind, if you want to say you want to put Jahad Campbell in his realm, you could say him and Abdul Carter. You know what I'm saying, are the two best guys in front of him, I think, and then it would be Pierce. You know what I mean? I. I haven't heard nothing about the character stuff. This is something new. You know what I'm saying? You brought it to my attention. And I think that it wouldn't have no bearing for me with me drafting him or not. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't believe I don't buy like he got a bad character grade, however they worded it. I mean, it's bull, man. I mean, it has no bearing on, for me, it doesn't. I mean, maybe other people have stock into it. You know what I'm saying? And they say, "Oh, well, nah, I'm not. I don't want to." Remember, we did the same thing with Jalen Carter. You know what I'm saying? And we tried to say how bad of a guy he was. Bad attitude or whatever. And I get it. I mean, you do have to acknowledge it, I guess, because you are making an investment. You know what I'm saying, on your return, and you don't want to draft a guy and he totally crashes out on everybody, you know what I'm saying, before he even hits the field. He ain't even, playing, or you had to cut him, or so that thing. But man, I'd be shocked if James Pierce didn't get drafted, in the first round, in the top 15 picks, man. I really do believe that. I heard a AFC executive, I hate when they say that because they could just put that on any article, but they said an AFC executive said that they wouldn't take him if he fell to him, basically. Which don't mean nothing. Maybe just may not be your kind of player. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to kill a guy's character and say,
I yeah, because
you know,
I hate hate.
Yeah.
I hate when they do this every year. Is
Yeah.
one thing. Now let's just say all of this is true. Let's just say it's true.
Yeah.
Um, Brad Holmes will find out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every GM and head coach in the league know exactly about what's going on with James Pierce. They know if it's all bullshit. They
Mm-hmm.
know if it's truth to it. So that's why I'm not worried about it. Because as a fan, I don't know a damn thing.
Yeah.
Because when I hate when the media come out and they give these vague statements.
Yeah.
Now, when you look, I want to go back real quick. Matter of fact, see if I can find. I want to find this statement real quick and read this for everybody out there who perhaps didn't get a chance to read it because I just heard about this about what was it? I sent this to you about an hour ago.
Um. Yeah. Something like that. Around eight
Oh, here you
o'clock.
go.
Something like that.
I'm gonna read
Yeah.
this, and I'm gonna read this in completion. It's not gonna be too long, but all right. So Tennessee defensive end James Pierce Jr. reportedly has the worst character report of any player in this year's class, per Corey Kennan. Pierce, who lit up the combine with the 4.4740 at 6'5", 245 pounds, has raised some red flags due to perceived character concerns. I was told that Tennessee football program could not only breathe easier once Pierce left campus, but that his pitch count in SEC play was not injury related. Pierce was seen as undeniably uncoachable, and as a player with one foot out the door already this season, giving his coaches little incentive to put him on the field full time. Kennan wrote, I was told by one scout that Pierce Jr. is seen as the player with the worst character report of any player in this draft class.
Damn.
An-
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's very specific.
Yeah.
Another scout told me that they think the environment and people around him at Tennessee are the main issues and that they think he could become a pro when he enters the NFL building, Kennan wrote. NFL personnel won't be shocked to see him on the board after the first 64 picks in this draft. In an interview with WalterFootballCamp.com. All right, so
Yeah.
also an anonymous AFC director of player personnel says Pierce's character may detour a team from drafting him no matter how far he falls. Okay,
Right.
so for everybody that just heard that, what do you make of that shit? Because to me, I just read a whole bunch of nothing. You didn't tell me anything, and I hate when they do this because when you throw stuff, when you throw a live grenade out there to the public with no names on it, you have to be an idiot as a fan to take that shit serious because they told you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All you told me, oh, he's a bad character guy, but you didn't tell me anything about what he did. And to your credit, like you said before, when we discussed it in the pre-show, you didn't hear anything about him all season. You didn't hear anything about him last couple seasons. And I get it. Granted, a lot of times the expletive doesn't hit the fan until you walk out the door or you
Mm-hmm.
you piss off the wrong person leaving out the door, or maybe you piss off the wrong person your last year in college. We talked about what happened with Micah Parsons during the COVID season. He decided to not suit up, and the coaching staff decided to start unveiling all this stuff about him being a bad character guy. My thing is this: you have to take it serious because if you're in the Lions organization, you have to take it serious because once you find out what's going on, now you have to apply that to what you think is going to happen with him once he gets to the NFL, once he starts making money, gets his first check. Is it his family? Is it other people around him? But for us fans, we don't know anything. And for fans to take that as something that's gospel, as something that's concrete, is silly to me. Like, that story broke a few hours ago. When I was reading some of the comments under that story, I'm like, so y'all really taking this serious?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm taking him off my board because he's a bad guy. But you know nothing about him. You just read something that could have been made up. I can go, after we get off air, I can go create a graphic on Canva and what stamp up there. This is something I heard from an AFC scout. You know how many people can do that?
Mm-hmm.
There's no fact checking anything.
Right. That's
It's
what
a
you read.
different day and age in the NFL. until you come out with something concrete about him, don't talk to me to death all day. Don't rap me all day about it. We talked about Jalen Carter a couple of years ago. Jalen stuff, his transgressions came out in public.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
when people come with these type of vague comments, man, I don't make much of it at all. Not until something comes out.
And then too, I mean, I can end my statement like this tonight. I just think that the Lions as a whole, the organization, where we come from to build it back up to this point. I just believe that even if he does have he had some issues, right? I just believe that our locker room's strong enough, our coaching staff strong enough, man, where we able to take a guy, now. Before we're like, nah, man, we ain't stable enough, in the leadership department. You know what I'm saying? But now we got guys here, we got a Taylor Decker, who can, be a leader, Penny Sewell, St. Brown, Jared Goff, to an extent, you know what I'm saying? Aiden Hutchinson, we got guys in that locker room. Today Kirby Joseph came out and said, that they, I don't know if it's a rumor. I don't know if you heard it. Like they want to start talking long-term contract. You know what I'm saying, with Kirby Joseph. So I heard that today. I mean, and we have become an organization that teams want to play for, and the players want to play for now. You know what I'm saying? And I do think that's key, where you can maybe get a guy that maybe, okay, let's just say he's immature or whatever, right? I mean, now I think we stable enough where we can handle that, you know what I'm saying, and get and have a guy and coach him up and make allow him to be on the right track. So yeah, but the player James Pierce is something to be reckoned with, man. He's got all the talent, sky's the limit, that type of thing. It's always one player that does fall. Every year we see it. You know what I'm saying? Well, every year we see like a guy
And
that,
the media's asking questions. What happened to him?
yeah,
And
what
what happened?
happened?
Yeah.
They show him in the green room by himself with his family. You know what I'm saying? Every year it happens, and it's just ironic that this it may not be him yet. It may not. It may be somebody else come out. They might come out and start bad mouthing somebody else, or questioning this or that and the other, or the Wonderlic test. Whoever did bad on the Wonderlic test that hasn't came out yet. So that might be another thing where, that's usually with the quarterbacks though. So
I
yeah,
don't
I mean,
still I don't think he gets out of the first though.
nah,
I still
nah,
don't think he does. I don't think he
nah.
falls. If he falls past us,
Yeah,
I don't
I'd be
think he goes past
shocked.
Kansas City. And I don't think
Hmm.
he goes past Philadelphia either.
Nah, yep. The two mock drafts I seen, one had Philly taking them, and then the other one, it wasn't Kansas City. I think it was like Pittsburgh or something like that taking them too. So yeah, and then 20. I
Yeah.
think Pittsburgh got the 21st pick. I think it was like Pittsburgh, and then the other one it was Philly, because the Lions wound up taking the corner. I think from Florida State, one I
Yeah.
seen. But
It's a
yeah, man.
gamble.
Yeah, it's a gamble. It is. It's a it all. And let's be honest. I like how you said, before we get out of here tonight. All it's a gamble. All these guys are a risk, man. You know what I'm saying? Even even the surefire Gray Zabel, right? I mean, all these guys are risks.
He
I
could
mean,
turn out to be a terrible NFL player.
yeah,
Yeah.
they all are risks. So you know, uh, that's why I like to see the combine, because I had somebody say today, well, you can't really tell if a person's going to be good. Of course, you can't tell,
That's
but
not what it's for.
yeah, but right. It's just the physicality and, the individual workouts. I would just come just to show I'm the
No.
man. Like this my spot. I'm the best guy out here in my class. I'm the best guy out here. That's how
Hey,
I would take it. You know what I'm
speaking of
saying?
that, man, I want to get your opinions on Shador not throwing and Cam and them not throwing, because I felt like what I felt was the big reason for quarterbacks throwing at the combine. I like what your boy Dylan Gabriel did on his deep throw. He threw it a little too much power, and he threw the ball a little too flat. What did he do? And I watched him after he threw that incomplete. He overshot his receiver. He said, "No problem. I got it next time." Very next time he came up, he put air under the football. He made the adjustment, completed the throw. That's one of the things I think people want to see from quarterbacks. Okay, you screwed up the first time. The
Mm-hmm.
next time up, do you make the necessary adjustments? because
Yeah,
that's what you need to be able to do in an actual football game is make adjustments when you screw up.
yeah, yeah. I it didn't bother me. I was more I want to see Travis Hunter work out. You know what I'm saying? I did just for selfish reasons, for personal reasons, But I could see why these guys don't. I mean, I don't. I can understand that because this is why. Because look at me. I just use myself for instance. I'm a big proponent of the the combine, right? So clickbait and all that stuff. You get we in the social media era. You know what I'm saying? So
Will Howard. Like
yeah,
so if you Shador and you show up and you have a Will Howard type of day. But you can
yeah.
have that at your pro day.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the pro date is more so what these guys are doing. They've been doing it, not just started. But I think that they have more. My stadium, my grass, my surroundings, my
My footballs, my wide
receiver.
receivers, my
Yeah,
routes.
so you're comfortable. You want to be comfortable instead of being like kind of like but like you say, you could have a bad day at home. We've seen that
Yeah.
where we've seen bad pro days before, you know what I'm saying, or been nervous or something like that. So yeah, it didn't bother me. It really didn't. It's just for selfish reasons. But I could understand if I'm, a Shador Sanders or Cam Ward. They know they getting drafted. They know they in the top 10, and maybe that may be kind of arrogant. They may be to a guy that's trying to bust his butt and don't even get drafted, that type of thing. You might be sending the wrong message. But, you had like Mason Graham didn't, I think he was hurt and couldn't work out. So I think players someone would give their right arm to go out there and play. You know what I'm saying? Go out there and work out, for
All of
everybody.
these are
But
job interviews. The Senior Bowl, the East West Shrine Bowl, the Hula Bowl, the Combine, your pro days.
mhm.
Like when you're not out there, that's why you can't get mad at guys like Jackson Dart for moving up the board or other guys moving up the board.
Yeah,
Out of sight, out of mind. I mean, I don't care if you show up and do some interviews with your hat on backwards and all that other stuff. My thing is, if you're not out there performing, we talked about Miles Frazier. You got offensive linemen that elected to not to go to the Senior Bowl, that elected to just sit it out. Miles Frazier showed up impressed, did everything they asked him to do, did everything they asked him to do at a high level. Now he's probably a borderline first round pick. You look at Jackson Dart. A lot of people hating on Jackson Dart and his rise. Well, Jackson showed up at everything, and Jackson worked out, and Jackson threw the football, and Jackson did what they asked him to do.
yeah,
You can't hate on another quarterback. That's I was getting told to that
yeah,
show, but like I said, you can't hate on somebody for taking the opportunity you thumbed your nose at.
yeah,
You know, because I heard people was talking about Jackson Dart earlier. Oh, they just trying to push him up the board because he white. I don't believe that because I like Jackson Dart can actually play. He can actually throw the football. But don't hate on Jackson Dart because you was too cool for school. Oh,
yeah,
I ain't interviewing. I ain't doing this. I ain't throwing. My film speaks for myself. This guy ain't got to throw. He did enough in college.
yeah,
I don't believe none of that bull for none of these quarterbacks. So when somebody show up and say, "Oh, well, he don't want to work out," no problem. I'll work out. Don't hate on him when organizations start looking at him and saying, "Okay, you know what? I like Jackson Dart a little bit better than Shador because Jackson Dart ain't giving me no grief.
yeah,
Jackson Dart ain't too cool for me. Jackson Dart ain't too. Every time I ask Jackson Dart to do some shit, it ain't. Well, I ain't got time to do this, or I ain't doing that, or well, my film speaks for itself, and talk to my publicist. Like nobody wants to deal with that, especially from a young quarterback just coming into the league. You don't want to be too Hollywood and too hotshot about things. I didn't like it. I think it set a very very bad precedence over the last few years, and typically those who can do. Think about it when you was younger. When you was the
yeah,
fastest dude on the block, you was always trying to race somebody. You was always challenging somebody to a
yeah,
race.
yeah,
If you could throw a football a mile, you was always trying to bring a football out and throw a football around. Like when you can do it, you want to show off. Josh Allen showed up at the combine, did what he did and threw. Why? Why did he say he did it? Oh, because I got a big time arm and I want to show off.
Yeah.
To a lesser extent, Will
Right.
Levis.
Yeah.
Will Levis said the same thing. You know, Patrick Mahomes showed up, Lamar Jackson showed up. I
Yeah.
just think these dudes today, man, it's all about controlling the narrative and controlling the environment. But when you get to the NFL on a Sunday, ain't a damn thing controlled about that environment. You don't control shit. You don't control what defensive line you going against. You don't control the footballs. You
Yeah.
don't control nothing. You don't control the weather. All you trying to control is your pro day.
Yeah.
And you know, that's not realistic when you step foot into the NFL, man. I don't like it anymore. I may be get off my lawn guy a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm just about competition, man. You see, look at the wide receivers. They don't have a problem showing up and running. The
Right.
dudes who can run, the dudes who can run. Everybody want to show up and run because they can run. It's just, I get it, man. You know, Cam kind of disappointed me too because he said he was gonna throw a few weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago, and then he showed up, he didn't. Travis Hunter said he was gonna do everything a few weeks ago, and I think he's a guy that might fall too. He might
Think
fall
so?
because he still don't. He sounds kind of stubborn. You notice every interview about they try to, asking him a leading question. So, well, what if I done heard so many people ask him this? Well, what if they want you to play corner
Mm.
or they want you to play wide receiver? His response is consistently defiant, though. Well, I'll do what they initially want me to do, but then I'll just try to see if I can start working my way in on offense or defense. Like, no, bro. Like they ask you, like, what if an organization says, "Screw offense, bro. We want you to play corner. Will you go by that?" And it's like his answer is still kind of like defiant. Like, I want to do both. Like, no, bro. Like, you don't call the shots. You these
Right.
this ain't the NBA, man. These NFL organizations will let you know you just an employee real quick. You don't dictate like that, man. But I'm glad we got through this tonight, man. We're gonna get through my 15 in another couple days, man. I like your 15. You got a decent amount of guys in your 15 that I also got in mind. And we can get to a couple questions real quick. We got a lot of them. What do you say? Congratulations, y'all didn't wander at all. And as soon as I wrote that, y'all started, man, we whatever, Mike. We ain't wandering. We just getting ready to wrap the show up. We were just talking about the quarterbacks and everything because we didn't get a chance to talk too much about the quarterbacks because at the end of the day, we not drafting one, I guess, for the most part. But anything you want to say to these people before we get up out of here?
No, I mean, we pretty much covered. Like I said, the purpose of these shows, man, is just to show, you know, uh, that it is talent all across the board, man, regardless of what round. I'm gonna start doing some mock drafts. I always like to do the 7 round mock draft and kind of pick my guys and see, kind of see test the water, see where it ends up. It's gonna be very uh it's gonna be very surreal when it happens. Like when the draft finally comes, the build up, and then just the actual run on players, because it's gonna be interesting. Because I think the last 2 years, I think it was a run on guards quick, and I think it may be early. Remember the
We
last
and
couple
we passed
years?
on a bunch of them.
Yeah, yep. A guard is the one position where I think that's when all hell break loose, man. I think guys start reaching for guys a little bit too soon. You know what I'm saying? When Xavier Liggett got drafted last year, I think it was like he
Yeah.
was like the last pick of the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Receivers, a run on receivers or run on guards, that type of thing. But I think this is going to be the year, Walt, and you mentioned it too. I'll end it with this. Running backs. I think that the running back position's back in NFL, man. And I think that all teams are following suit. They're trying to find their Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. You know what I'm saying? So and like you said, 2 is better than 1. And I think having 2 running backs is going to be the norm. I really do. I think, especially teams that made the play like Denver, maybe looking for another complimentary back to go with what they have. Teams like Dallas needs one bad. I'd be shocked if they don't take Ashton Genty. But right now, I got Genty pegged to Bears. I just got a feeling Ben Johnson going to get an offensive player to start his tenure. And he's gonna flip it upside down. So that's all. I mean, we got more shows coming. So this is our time, man, where we work all year round, especially with the draft and, for free agency's coming up too in about another week. So that's going to be something big too here. And see what's going to happen here with the Lions. So.
Absolutely, man. You just brought that up. We got 5 days until the legal tampering period. Legal tampering. That's always been an oxymoron to me, but yep. Legal tampering period begins March 8th. Then all hell breaks loose with these free agent discussions. We heard today, matter of fact, that T. Higgins
franchise tag,
Cincinnati, man, did them. Man, these organizations, really wish the NFL would do away with the franchise tag, or at least you can't keep tagging the same guy over and over again. In his case, if you don't want me, the Fantasia song, if you don't want me, then don't talk to me. Like, come on, man. Like, y'all obviously don't want me. The last 3 years, you've been refusing to pay me. So if you're not going to sign me long term and you're not going to trade me, what the hell is your plan, Cincinnati?
Yeah, they want them, but they want to
show
cheap.
Me that on property.
Yeah, they want to cheat. They want it for cheap.
They want it for the Brad Holmes.
They want it for cheap.
1 year, 10 mil, Higgins. That's all you gonna get. All right, man. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, man. Going through this man's big board. We be back in a couple nights going through my big board, setting everything up for a PFF mock draft Saturday morning, man. I know y'all love these mock drafts. Y'all will be up with us Saturday morning, bright and early, to start going through these players and these picks. We're going to do 4 of them, matter of fact. Was it 3 before the draft, and then usually we do 1. The last couple of years, we did 1 the night before the draft, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how we do it. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us once again. Till next time, one pride.